Now, when they announced Combiner Wars Wave 6, I was like, oh boy, another wave of Autobot repaints. When I saw it on the shelf for the first time, I was like, oh boy, another wave of Autobot repaints. But then I went to the store, and the person I was with asked if I wanted a toy, because I had been a good boy that day. And I said sure. And they had all the Wave 6 people and nothing else. So on a whim, I picked up Combiner Wars Hound. Well, I got him for free. So I got him for free. And I must say, I'm very pleasantly surprised. They are still repaints. Don't get me wrong. These are still repaints of stuff we have already. However, I think, just like me, you guys will be pleasantly surprised with how Wave 6 turned out. So this happened to me today. Oh no! No, you didn't!
Chicky tastes as if it's been sitting alone in a bucket for a while.
Today we'll be taking a look at the Combiner Wars Wave 6 Deluxe Class Hound. And instantly you'll recognize that he is a direct repaint of the Swindle mold, which is a heavy retool of the Rook mold. However, this vehicle mode, due to its darker color, manages to hide more of the robot bits a little bit better than Swindle. I guess it's just the lighter coloring of Swindle's plastic that reveals more of the bits. But, I mean, it's still there. Obviously, you can still see his hands. You know, we'll go around him real quick. He's a very nice green. I describe it as a very paint bottle green. It's definitely, it looks like it just came out of a paint bottle. It's like the purest green you can get. This front, obviously, is a little bit different of a green. You can tell the camera actually makes it a lot worse than it looks in person. But, yeah, definitely the front's a little bit different. He's got a nice white star, reminiscent of G1. Little silver Autobot symbol, the headlights here, black grille, black wheels, the black kind of chrome it's got a sparkle to it. Roll cage, Autobot symbol right there, the silver gun, which I put up here because in G1 he had his little cannon here, so I was trying to differentiate him from Swindle a little bit. But yeah, you can still see his hands are there, and he's got a little bit of gray up top. But for the most part, I think it hides a little bit better just due to its darker color. You don't see the lines as much as you do on Swindle. So, I mean, on Swindle you can definitely see the lines and everything. You see what I'm talking about? But on Hound, it kind of blends a little bit better just due to the darker color. So, I mean, it's a little weird that that's what happens, but that is what happens. So here they are right next to each other, and as you can see, they are definitely the exact same mold, all the way down to all the details on the side. Absolutely nothing different about them aside from the paint and the head sculpt, which we'll get to later. But just to throw him in the mix, there's Rook. So you can see all the uses of this mold in one shot. I will say Hound definitely is painted more than Swindle, which is an interesting thought, at least in vehicle mode. We'll see him in robot mode a little bit later. Regardless of all the good things I say about this vehicle mode, I want to stress to you that my opinion is still the same. It's not a Jeep. I know it's supposed to be a Jeep, but it doesn't look like it. It just looks like some weird tactical military vehicle with a roll cage, but for the purposes of this review, I guess it can be a Jeep. So before we transform him, we'll take a quick look at his weapons. They're obviously going to be the exact same as Swindle. You've just got the regular hand-foot gun in black, whereas Swindle's was this kind of light gray. And he also comes with the triple-barreled Gatling thing, that Swindle came with, except this time it's painted a very shiny silver. And as I said earlier, I like to put it up here as kind of a gun turret, just like the G1. So we'll begin transformation by taking that off. What you want to do first is you want to take the front section of the Jeep and you want to lift it up. Then you want to bring his arms out to the side, up and out to the side. And you can rotate them around. You want to take the legs, bring them down and around. Leg down and around. Flip up the feet, just like so. Then you'll want to bring his head up and over, rotate it around, and then finally the backpack folds up along his back. Straighten him up, and there you've got Hound. So here in robot mode, it's much of the same of what you would expect from Swindle. However, there is something, excuse me, that was a feature on Swindle that I just never really chose to use because it's not something Swindle usually exhibited. This gun has two little nubs on the end here that will clip in to the back of this roof rack here, and therefore it will make, it's not in all the way. It will make, there it is, it's tabbed in. It will make Hound's signature shoulder cannon, which is cool, and you can also twist it up out of the way a little bit if you want him to look left and right. But it does also, like I said, lower back down, so he can have his shoulder cannon a la G1, which is kind of cool. I like that when they homage these G1 characters, I like that you can do stuff like that to really drive home the homage. So now we can go ahead and compare him with Swindle just so you can see how it all works out. And obviously, they're the same skeletal structure. Obviously, you'll notice that the differences, obviously, are just with the head and the paint and the way the guns have been placed. Swindle, I usually put it on his arm as more of a G1 style arm cannon like he had, and then Hound obviously has the shoulder cannon. But if you look here, and if we're 100% honest with ourselves, Hound manages to look cleaner in robot mode than Swindle does. Because of the purple in his chest and the way his little combiner port is yellow, it just kind of breaks up the chest, and Swindle just doesn't look as cohesive as Hound does with his solid, green torso. Another thing I really like is the way Hound's waist has the little yellow lights to mimic the front of the Jeep, and, he just overall, I think, looks better in robot mode. They're very comparable, but the thing that really does it for me is the paint, plus the fact that Hound can get away with being this bulky, but it still bothers me a little bit that Swindle is the beefiest guy on the Combaticons. And just for giggles, there's Rook, so you can have the Autobot guys standing next to each other. And I don't think when you stand Hound and Rook next to each other, I don't think it's that big a deal. Yeah, their shoulders are pretty similar, but everything else is different enough to where they don't necessarily look like the same figure. So I think it's a pretty good retool and a use of this mold. Which only reinforces the idea that with Combiner Wars Autobots, the more the merrier. Supposability is what you'd expect. You'd get neck rotation with a little bit of a rock. Due to how boxy his head is, he doesn't rock his head forward and back too much. Ball-jointed shoulder with a cutout to the side. Elbow bend that's pretty heavily ratcheted. Rotation at the shoulder. Waist rotation. Hip ball joint with a cutout to the side. Thigh swivel. Knee bend. And then the famous ankle tilts. So this guy benefits from that. So there you go. We'll go ahead and, while we're here, get an up-close of his head sculpt. So you can just take a peek at it while we were talking about it. Looks real good. Looks like the G1 guy. So, there he is. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that this guy's a pretty good start to our B team. So now obviously what's left to cover is the arm and leg modes, which I've saved for last because at this point you guys have seen it already. So we'll start out in the leg which is essentially the vehicle, just without the bumper. If you want it to be. There's two configurations for the leg, as I have learned. So I've just got the vehicle mode with the bumper folded up. Yeah, this is it. This is his hand foot gun. So there's option 1 for the leg. And then option 2 is you can actually take the front of the vehicle, fold it up here, and actually you're going to have to move his head out of the way. Fold it up here and peg it in to his arms. And there's option 2 for a vehicle mode if you want a bigger knee. So that kind of differentiates him from Swindle. There's two different ways to transform these guys. However, it does reveal his hands, so that's something you're going to have to live with. But yeah, if you want him to look a little bit different than Swindle on the shelf, you can definitely do this and give the leg a little bit more of a knee. But this is also a good segue because that's basically arm mode once you extend the legs and twist the waist around. So there's his arm mode in case anybody was curious. So that's Hound. Honestly, from the get-go, my opinion has been the same of him. I wasn't expecting anything at all. I wasn't expecting anything good from this figure, but I was pleasantly surprised. I'm really impressed with all that they've done to make this figure different in the little ways they have, with the paint and the head sculpt. He just feels like an entirely different character. The body structure, the whole proportions of him work better for the character of Hound, and I dig the idea of having more Autobots to combine with Optimus Prime. I know it's a gimmick, and I know it's, it's kind of cheap, but hey, it's Combiner Wars. We have a G1 Autobot combiner, and we can swap them around now. Just like I said earlier, more Autobots, more the merrier. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.